When communicating with your audience, whether you're singing or whether you are speaking, it is extremely important that you understand the reactions of the audience. And the reason I want to speak about this in this session is many times, whether it's a performer, a lecturer, a teacher, they're not paying attention to the reactions of the people that they're speaking or seeing to their audience. Years ago, when we had groups that would perform, and even as a performer, you always study your audience. And we always had music that we loved to do and to perform. But if the audience did not respond to the music the way you wanted them to, after the first time, then you would change it just a little bit to see if they would respond differently. Maybe you're going to change a little bit of the choreography, or maybe you're going to change something. You know, if it was a solo act or something, you might change something else, the rhythm, or maybe the accompaniment. Maybe shorten it a bit to see if you can get a different reaction from your audience. If after the second time the response still wasn't what you were after, then we would drop that song and we would move on to something else until we got the responses that we were after. Same thing in teaching or in training. As you go through your program with those that you're training or you're teaching, you look for the responses from those you're working with. Well, once you get the glazed over look from the eyes and it just stays there and nothing's changing, then probably that training that you're doing is something that needs to go in the heap, and you need to start over again. And there's a lot of ways for training and other things that you can engage your audience better. But it's so important that you are observing your audience. And one of the best ways to observe is to listen to their comments, either during a presentation or during a performance, and for sure afterwards when you're asking for feedback. Now, the best feedback is when you're not asking for it and it's automatically given to you. I have a daughter, well, I have 3 daughters who all sing amazing. And my youngest daughter, who I probably have the most time with as a performer, she sang for me for the most amount of years. One of the things that was really wonderful to see is each time she would sing, many people would come up and say to her, "I love that song, but I never understood the words before, or I didn't understand the message, but I did today." And that is a great thing. That means that you made a connection with your audience. You might not have made a connection with everybody, but you made it with at least 1 or 2 people. And realistically, as a performer, as an instructor, a teacher, a coach, that's really what you're after, is the individual. We're never going to affect the entire crowd. Now, we think of performers in big stadiums and they all go nuts when they're performing. That's probably because they're not all in their right mind. They probably had a little bit of help to get into that frenzy. But I think you understand what I'm talking about. Music, lecturing, teaching, all of these things are all forms of communication. But communication is a two-way street. It's not just one. It's not just speaking or singing. It's listening to the other person or to your audience. So this is something that's important, and I wanted to share that. In the T-Man Sound Method, we talk about your tone, and it's all the different techniques that are involved in getting the right sound. And then we talk about your message and getting it out. And then the next part is your audience. And that's what we're visiting about tonight. is the importance of understanding your audience and listening to them so that you make sure that you're having a real open communication with. Spoke in the last video, we were talking about not having distractions. And we didn't speak a lot about it, but I will take some more time to talk about all the different types of distractions that can be in your performance, whether that's singing or speaking. A lot of distractions which will take away from the message, from your communication. How about as we talk one person to another person? And are there any habits, any idiosyncrasies, things that you or I do that make it difficult to communicate with us? I spoke about listening to a trainer the other day, and this trainer, at the end of each phrase, she would just kind of drop her sentence right off and listen to. Well, that's distracting, and it's also very difficult to listen to because I'm trying to think of what she might have said, and she's already moved on to the next sentence, so I already missed the front part of that next sentence as well. So that's not a positive. So in communication, we want to be sure that we're listening. We want to be sure that we're giving them our very best sound, that we're sharing our message in the right way. And we're going to talk about message in another video. But we want to make sure that they are hearing us and that we are hearing them. So just some more things to think about as you're working on your voice. And as you're working on your voice, I don't want you to just think about the mechanical voice. I want you to think about your voice. What is your voice? What is it you want people to hear? Not just mechanically. What is it you want them to hear about you? The person that you are, your message. It's your voice. And we're going to make it easier for them to hear that through the proper mechanics. But be thinking about that. And I'll talk to you soon.